Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, are wrapping up a blockbuster swing state tour. In about an hour, they're expected to touch down in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the vice president will make her case to another group of battleground voters. Last night, Harris stumped in Arizona to a crowd of more than 15,000 people, her largest to date, according to the campaign. And she made it clear we're all in this together.
Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. Now, the baton is in our hands. Each and every one of us.
The campaign's momentum is also reflected in the latest polls, with the vice president now leading Trump in 3 key battleground states within the margin of error. We'll go deeper into that with our many excellent guests in a few minutes. But first, folks are not only excited about Harris, they're reveling in the, quote, big dad energy of her new running mate, whose message is resonating with the American people. And seeing Governor Walz in his new role on the campaign trail reminds me of someone I used to know some 50 miles from where Walz once taught high school. During my freshman year at Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota, I desperately needed a haircut. The clippers that a fellow student used to buzz down my nappy mane had broken. He told me to go to his barber in town. The owner then, David Downauer, welcomed me in and to have a seat. As he stood behind me, he repeatedly said, "Oh," with that distinctive Minnesotan inflection as his hands hovered over my head, unsure about what to do next. "I've never cut your type of hair before," he told me. I told him all he needed were hair clippers to zip my hair like an Army recruit's. He was too afraid. He used scissors instead. All I could do was pray that a professional like Mr. Downauer wouldn't butcher my hair like my mom did before grade school class pictures. The longer he took, the more I settled into anxious resignation, anxious for him to finish, resigned to the disaster surely to come at the hands of this white man, unsure what to do with my black hair. I wanted to cry when he had me take a look. It was the best haircut I'd ever had. He cut my hair for the rest of my time at Carleton. I tell you that story because I'm reminded of Mr. Downauer when I see Governor Walz. I've talked with Governor Walz a few times. The teacher, coach, reservist, legislator turned governor you saw burst onto the stage in Philadelphia after Vice President Harris named him her running mate is exactly who he is. A joyful, no-nonsense man overflowing with that Midwestern charisma that draws you into a swirl of caring, kindness, and dad joke goofiness. Walz said of the truncated campaign timetable, quote, "We'll sleep when we're dead." He could have been my North Dakotan father-in-law who says the exact same thing. And when you look at the Minnesota governor's record, another glaring Midwestern trait comes through: pragmatic common sense. Here's what Walz said last month to Jake Tapper when asked if his progressive record could be used against Harris if he got the VP nod.
You passed universal background checks on guns. You expanded LGBTQ protections. You implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions.
And here's how Walz buttoned it up at the Harris-Walz tickets debut in Philadelphia this week.
In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule: mind your own damn business.
In her excellent analysis of the Walz pick, author Sarah Smarsh notes this among the small-town rural sensibilities Walz brings to the Democratic ticket. That people in small towns are often hopeful, cooperative folks who find creative solutions to local problems and are ruled by a sense of responsibility to community rather than by a fear of those outside it. Which brings me back to that haircut more than 30 years ago. Mr. Downauer could have turned me away, could have said, "Sorry, I can't help you." Instead, he saw someone who needed his help, and he jumped in, even when he wasn't sure exactly what to do. Our nation is filled with men and women like him. With Governor Walz on the ticket, they finally have someone who speaks to them and reflects their values. With Harris and Walz, the American people have a team that speaks to their highest aspirations and models the goodness and possibility that the Trump-Vance team is trying so hard to diminish.